we are often made to believe that Ayurveda can never go wrong. They're always safe. They do not possess any side effects. Is that the case? Well, today I'm here to make you aware of the complications that one can get from Ayurvedic medicines. I'm sure it is going to backfire, but as an Ayurvedic enthusiast, I believe it is my responsibility, while I talk about the positives of Ayurveda, that I should also make our audience aware of what can go wrong with Ayurvedic herbs and medicines. Ayurvedic herbal combinations are safe, no doubt about it, when consumed by the person who is suffering with an ailment, or if somebody wants to maintain their health, then in that case, Ayurvedic herbal combinations are safe, provided they are prepared the right way. One of the commonest complications that we face in our regular practice is the fact that nobody has time to prepare fresh concoctions because we are all busy with our fast-paced life. And that is when the advent of bottled concoctions came into place. But they do possess a certain complication. And that is when these concoctions were once to be made fresh and consumed within 3 hours of preparation. Today we have concoctions which can remain on the shelf for up to 2 years, which means there are preservatives being added to it. Though initially it was all about adding bare minimum quantity of sodium benzoate to preserve it better, today we have a concoction of preservatives so as to increase the shelf life. Now what can go wrong with that? We have got parabens also being added to it. So if you find paraben as one of the preservative, though how much ever it is said to be safe, it is not exactly safe, even if you use in very small quantities. Second is the amount of usage of sodium benzoate. Now when you see, when the amount of sodium benzoate, which is one of the safest preservative to be found, when used excessively, that can lead to gastritis, which is in fact one of the bittermost experiences that I've had in my clinical practice. While I normally do not recommend concoctions, there was this one of the patients who bought bottled concoction, and that too not of the recommended pharmacy that we normally do, and ended up with major gastritis such that she had to be hospitalized. So ever since then, we are very cautious while using bottled concoctions in our practice. Primarily, we ask our patients to make it fresh if time permits. Now, if time doesn't permit, you do not have the luxury to prepare it at home, then you can opt for tablets or concoctions which uses less than 1% preservative. Normally, when we prepare concoctions for our patients with preservatives, we keep it only at 0.5%, while in the market you get up to 12 to 14% of preservative, which can be counterproductive. And the third thing that we have adopted in doing is utilizing Kashayam extract sachet, wherein we get the concoctions in the dehydrated form, wherein the water molecules are completely removed, and therefore you just have to directly mix it with water and then consume, whereby the usage of preservatives is almost next to nil, and therefore you do not experience the complications as well. And the fourth thing is, avoid consuming the concoctions if they are way too thick, or the bottom portion of the bottle contains sediments which are thicker and denser. In that case, it contains more amount of preservatives being sedimented at the lower part, as well as there are fibrous substances which can give you gastritis. The other common reason why Ayurveda becomes quite notorious is because of the usage of heavy metals like mercury, gold, lead, etc. While these, when used directly, of course, is going to give you complication because the specific gravity of the same is quite high, and they have a tendency to accumulate on the liver and kidney. But when processed the right way, wherein they are subjected to contained heat over a prolonged period of time, the specific gravity as well as the density gets reduced and they are broken down into nanoparticles. Now, how do you confirm the medicine that you are obtaining made from heavy metal is safe enough? One, the heavy metal medicine that you're about to consume should not be shiny. if there are shiny particles on it, chances are that they have not been processed well. 2. They should not sink in water. They are so fine that when you sprinkle it on top of water, it should not sink. The third thing, when you hold it between your fingers, they should be so fine that they stick onto your finger and it's tough to get rid of it from your fingers. Then in that case, it has been processed well. And the fourth one, when it is heated with sulfur, it doesn't stick to the sulfur part. In that case, again it shows that the medicine has been processed well. Now, what can go wrong if these medicines have not been processed? In that case, complications like extreme fatigue, brain fog, body pain and muscle cramps are common. So not all Ayurvedic medicines are that safe, especially the one made from heavy metal. So always ensure that you double check with your physician and ensure it is being bought from the right source, which I'm sure your practicing physician would know how to guide you better. We believe that being Ayurvedic medicines, we can continue consuming them for a prolonged period because they do not have side effects. Well, this is one of the commonest myths about Ayurvedic herbs and medicines. When Ayurvedic combinations are being consumed for a certain ailment, the intention is to rectify the imbalance in your body. Once the imbalance or the specific symptom that you have been experiencing has been resolved, then in that case, the specific combination or the herbal remedy that you have been consuming has done its job and is not to be continued. If at all it needs to be consumed, then please double check with your physician, because once that herb has done its job, then it causes the counterproductive effect, as in if it is being consumed for, say, excessive mucus secretion, after a certain point, if you continue, it will make you go into dry cough. And I'm sure most of you have experienced it. And the other thing is, when you consume Ayurvedic medicines, and if the numbers are way too high, just like one of the recent patients who had come to us, she is already struggling with weight loss. From 55 kilograms, she's come down to 37 and experiencing insomnia, gastritis, constipation plus diarrhea, dry skin and many other complications. When we went through her case history, she was consuming a number of Ayurvedic medicines and the same thing being repeated all 3 times of the day. Now, what can go wrong with this? Well, for each one of the complaints, she was having one Ayurvedic medicine each, but holistically, it was having a detrimental or degenerative effect on her body. So what has happened is, she has been experiencing a majority of her complications from the Vata imbalance or the dryness and degenerations from the concoction of Ayurvedic medicines that she has been consuming. So what we have done in her case is, I've asked her to stop all medicines, stop pranayam, stop yoga for a week and then revert. And interestingly, after a week, her fatigue has resolved by 60%. And she's not struggling with hyper appetite, wherein every now and then she's looking for food. So when you are under Ayurvedic treatment, ensure that you're consuming it only for the stipulated period. After that, if the symptoms persist, do double check with your physician. If the list of Ayurvedic medicines that are being prescribed to you are very long, I would request you to double check with your physician or take a second opinion with another doctor and see if your condition really warrants it. These are some of the common complications when it comes to Ayurvedic medicines. If these can be tackled, then in that case, you're on the safer side and you do not have to worry if Ayurvedic medicines are going to give you complications. Hope that helps.